Again with another video for you. This is my second time recording this video. So yeah, my PS4 decided to be bum and it didn't record what I was trying to record. But I have to start over, which is fine because a video wasn't great, but now it can be even better. Real quick, before we get into this discussion or mini review, whatever you want to see it as, apologies for not having a Battlefront 2 video up last week. It will be up this week, not sure when. There will also be this video this week and another video, maybe even a third one. We'll see. Trying to do more, trying to raise my sub count. My goal is to get to at least 150 by the end of the summer. That would be awesome. But yeah. So today we're talking about a movie that I think is underrated, and that movie is 2012's The Dark Knight Rises. And The Dark Knight Rises, 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, 90% audience score. So you might be wondering, why do I think it's underrated? Well, because the movie kind of gets crapped on a bit now. Not just with people thinking it's the worst out of the trilogy, which that doesn't have to mean it's bad, but it's their least favorite. But also, some people just genuinely just don't like the film and just think it was a disappointing conclusion, kind of like Arkham Knight, like how people thought of Arkham Knight. But I don't think it was a disappointing conclusion. I think it was a great conclusion to a great trilogy. And here's why I think The Dark Knight Rises is kind of crapped on. I don't know if crapped on's the right word, but it's not as well received as Batman Begins or The Dark Knight. Mostly because Batman Begins changed movies, and superhero movies, and just regular movies in general, because it made Batman dark after Batman and Robin. Other things tried to become dark, whether it was Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man, Superman and Man of Steel, Star Trek. Oh. Well, yeah. And even James Bond became darker with 2006's Casino Royale. So everything became a bit darker. The Dark Knight won a bunch of Oscars too. Heath Ledger's performance was awesome, and it changed superhero movies forever. And many people think it's one of the best movies ever. So, yeah. But The Dark Knight Rises, it didn't do that for people. It wasn't a game changer. It didn't change anything like Batman Begins or The Dark Knight did. And so I don't think people see as much in it as I think they should. Because in my opinion, The Dark Knight Rises was one of the best, it was a great third installment. It was a great movie in general, and I honestly think it was a pretty much perfect end to the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm not saying there's not some flaws in it. Talia al Ghul is not very good. It has its flaws, but that doesn't take away that it was a great movie. It was truly awesome. I'm sorry. Whatever. Frick them. Yeah, I'm sorry for the Fortnite, guys. It gets distracting. It's hard to talk and play, especially when I get people like this. But anyway, I have reasons why The Dark Knight Rises is a fantastic trilogy. Number one, we're gonna go with Bane and Catwoman. Bane was a great villain because The Dark Knight had to rise to stop Bane. Bane was superior. Bane, and you could tell before they even fought, Bane was superior. And Bane had to make him keep rising. Bane tested Batman as a third villain, like a villain in the final installment should. A villain in the final installment should be kind of the most powerful one, but it tests the hero. And it's not just a strong man, but a smart man too. And not in terms of what they do, but how they do it. He got what he wanted done, even if it wasn't the right thing. And Catwoman, whether you want to see her as a villain, anti-hero, hero in general, blah blah blah, I thought Anne Hathaway was great as her. Really sold it as Catwoman, especially since the last live action Catwoman was in the Catwoman movie, which we don't talk about because it kind of sucked at. You know, never mind. We're not gonna talk about Catwoman, but she did a great performance as Catwoman. She was like a anti-hero-ish, and for his decision, like finding love with her at the end of the movie, I thought it worked out. Like, I thought that was a really good end to the trilogy. Now, sorry. Let's move on to reason 2 of why The Dark Knight Rises is a great conclusion. And this is more of a defending The Dark Knight Rises here. And that I think The Dark Knight Rises, Batman, okay, it's clear that Batman wasn't in the movie all that often, right? He wasn't, he had to rise during the movie, so he didn't have as much screen time as we wanted for Batman. But I think that worked in the movie's favor, because The Dark Knight, the Joker terrorized Gotham, changed everything. Like, nothing is gonna be the same after the Joker did that to the city. The Joker tested Batman, kind of like how Bane tested him, but the Joker, he didn't have a plan. He was just an agent of chaos. He just did what he wanted, and people had to pay the price, whether it was Rachel dying or Harvey becoming Two-Face. Spoilers for The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. So Christopher Nolan realized that even though Batman is Batman and he's a great person and he's a hero, he can't just be okay with that. He can't just keep being Batman and pretend like nothing happened. Stuff like that has an impact on people. Even if they're a superhero, they're still human. Most of them. But Batman is, for sure. And Batman can't just really be Batman right after the Joker does all this. But The Dark Knight had to rise. And him rising twice in the movie, I thought worked out really well. Because when he rised to fight Bane again, I feel like he more so felt kind of forced into it, like he had to. And not because he wanted to be the hero, not because he wanted to be the better man, but he's just like, alright, I'll just take out this criminal and then be done again. But he realized, although he chooses to be done with Batman at the end of the movie, sort of like Nightfall Protocol, he still rose. He realized that he's still Batman. He can't just give up hope at the end. He realized that it's normal for this to happen to him. It's normal for him not want to rise, but he'll have to. He has to rise to be better. He has to be the person he wants. He has to be a better person. Like, he becomes a better hero than he even was in Batman Begins. He rises so much. He changes as a person. He changes as Batman. His fighting style. He's not Batman, but he'll do it to save his city, because it's not about him. It's not just that he doesn't want to lose anyone else too. He just does it to be a good person, and it just worked out really well for this movie's favor. You see so much growth from 2005 to 2012 in Bruce Wayne, because he's just a whole new person, because he had to rise. And that's why one of the reasons why it's truly an incredible movie. And a few other points. The dialogue is great. Some action scenes are great. Not all of them, but a few. The characters are great. Everyone changes. Everyone grows. Alfred still speaks wisdom. There's so much happening in this movie. There's so much. It's not only a good film in general, and the cinematography and stuff like that too, but it's a great Batman movie, even if Batman's not in it, because, well, Batman's in it, but not as much, because you can't just be Batman all the time. If you're human, you can't just be it all the time. You can't just let all these consequences just take a toll on you. And a lot of people love the movie Spider-Man 2, and while that's Marvel and this is DC, Spider-Man 2, when he quits and Spider-Man No More, it's because he's human. It's because you can't just always come back from everything bad happening in your life. And The Dark Knight Rises understood that, but yeah, that's my opinion on The Dark Knight Rises. why I think it rocks, why I think it's a great third entry, and why I think it was a great conclusion. I guess the third reason is it felt like a conclusion. The last 5 minutes, it was like, oh my god, this trilogy is about to end. And even though it's a 2-hour and 45-minute epic, like, it doesn't really feel that long. It's just, you feel like it's the end. They did a great job. You feel like there could be more for these characters, but there doesn't have to be. And Bruce starts the trilogy off legit. It doesn't exactly start. The Batman Begins doesn't exactly start with his parents being murdered, but that's in the first 10 minutes or so. That's Bruce when he's a young boy. That's his earliest stage we see in this trilogy. And the final stage we see, he's finally happened. Because the Dark Knight had to rise and grow throughout this trilogy, making him finally growing, making it a perfect end to the Dark Knight trilogy, in my opinion. So what do you guys think of the Dark Knight Rises? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was okay? How would you rank the Dark Knight trilogy? For me personally, Batman Begins on the bottom. Still love it. One of my favorite movies. So, then the Dark Knight Rises. Then the Dark Knight. Yeah. Look out for more videos this week. I mean, in general, in the summer, my videos coming out. We got Star Wars Battlefront 2. Injustice 2, and maybe even a Valorant video. So thank you guys so much for watching. It really means a ton. Consider subscribing. Please leave a like and comment what you want to see next. I'm Miles Skywalker, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you all so much for watching.